Two of the toughest challenges that I've had in my life. Where do I begin? My wife, 5 years ago, I was at the office, got a phone call. Didn't understand what my wife was saying, couldn't hear what was coming out at all. She was just crying. That's all I heard in the background. I told her, honey, take a moment, breathe. All I heard through that phone was the word breast cancer. That word breast cancer changed our lives forever. That same day, I remember telling her, just go home, we'll figure it out. For the first time in my life, I had that deer-eyed look. You know, when you're lost, when you don't even know where you're looking. I had never experienced that as a man, as a human being. As I was driving home that day, I remember just the check engine light came on in my vehicle. And that moment right there, I realized that God had put in my heart, son, the check engine light has been on in your life for many years already. You're just ignoring it. As I looped around the corner, drove into the neighborhood, I saw my wife's car from a distance, walked into the house. As I went inside, I didn't have an answer. That moment, just seeing my wife face to face. What do you do? What do you do when you encounter a disease, a sickness like breast cancer, when there's no cure for it? I realized in that moment that my money, my prominence, the success that I had reached up to that level, it wasn't going to help me. It wasn't going to save me. I didn't have the answer in that exact moment, but I knew that there was a God who was available. I knew that because I had experienced the touch of God in my life. I had experienced God moving in my heart before. And I just told her, honey, we're going to make it because God's with us. And at that moment that I had to lean on God again, you see, because I ran away from him. He didn't run away from me. That moment in my life brought me back to my faith where I'm at right now. It was the most challenging time in my life because I had to be real with me, you see, because my wife made a decision to have a double mastectomy. Think about it. When a woman loses her breast, she loses her identity. She loses her confidence. Have you ever lost your confidence? Do you feel lost in your identity? That's how my wife felt. So she got depressed on me. As I was there one day at work, she was crying. I made a decision to resign because I had to man up. I had to do two things. I had to do two things at that moment. I had to decide if I was going to hire somebody to take care of her or if I was going to take care of her myself. And I decided to man up. I decided to take care of my wife myself. I resigned. Little did I know as I resigned at that moment from my position that my life was going to change. I figured I would go back to work next year or sometime in the future, but taking care of my wife helped me realize that there was issues within myself. You see, because as my wife was healing and I was taking care of her, one day I looked in the mirror in the bathroom. And this is the truth. I didn't like who I saw. I didn't realize all the hurt, all the pain I had caused my wife and my children. Oh, that's another story. So the toughest thing I had to do was look in the mirror and realize that I had to go deep within myself. I had to figure out that there's something wrong with Daniel Gomez. There's something wrong with me. And not in a bad way, but how many of you watching this, you don't deal with the real issues in life? You don't go deep down inside and you're wondering why you're not happy. And I was wondering why I wasn't happy for so many months. Well, the second toughest thing I had to do was be honest with myself and give myself an opportunity to forgive myself. So I want you to understand this. It's never easy to forgive yourself, but I promise you that it's worth it. I promise you that when you forgive yourself and you're honest with yourself, because we can lie to everybody else, we can put whatever we want on social media, but if you can't be truthful to yourself, who can you be truthful for? So I think the two most toughest times in my life helped me to become the amazing human being that I am today. And that's a loving husband and a loving father above all things.